Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our biweekly developer sync. Today, we're going to go around the table and get an update on what everybody's working on. Justin, would you go first, please?
Definitely. Over the past couple days, I've been working on pretty significantly with the ambassador program with Diana. Been going through updating some of the messaging on Discord, getting it a little bit more updated to our modern website and modern messaging. Prior, it had matched like our old website and such. And from there, I'm still working on getting the status page going. I feel like I'm just about there. Just kind of got to clean up some CSS and make it a little bit more presentable. And got the status page also updated to redirect HTTP to HTTPS. I know you mentioned that last meeting there, Nazar. And from there, just been kind of trying to help out the business and development teams with anything that they may need help with.
Cool. So can we set a deadline for getting something submitted for the status page, Justin?
Yeah, I know we talked yesterday. I should have a PR submitted by today. If that doesn't go up, we're going to go ahead and take it off the website. That way, there's nothing. It's not going out to the public if it's not up to a certain standard.
Okay. Is there any way that we can just submit what we have now and get feedback on it, even if it's not beautiful? Because if it's just CSS, that's something that we can just incrementally upgrade. But I just want to make sure architecturally there's not any issues with it. That I don't want you to spend like 3 weeks working on something to get like feedback that it's all wrong.
Definitely, yeah, I can get a PR submitted.
Okay. Yeah, let's just by the end of the day, wherever you're at, just submit a PR.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay. Cool. Thanks for working on that, Justin.
Of course.
Okay. Have you had a chance to talk with Leo about any of that to coordinate whatever you needed to connect there on the status page?
I have not. No, I haven't had a chance to talk to him.
Okay. So this version of the status page, will it actually notify us if the test net is down, like the back?
Yes, I'm still working on. There's one edge case where if block detection stops, it basically won't notify until after a certain, like it has a timeout instead of actually detecting the block. So that's really the only thing that I would like to fix, where it actually, instead of waiting for the timeout to go down, it just notifies that the next block isn't a new block.
Okay. And does this trigger a Discord notification?
Yes.
Okay. And does it notify us if the relayer backend goes down?
I do need, what is the, I can set it up. I just need to set it up to point to the right domain.
Okay. So you just need to get that from Leo?
Yeah.
Okay. Just tag him in the public chat, ask him what it is.
Definitely.
Okay. Nazar, you're up next.
As usual, I had two main lines of effort. One was on the node side and the other one was on the relayer side. So on the node side, we've merged the second pull request about former RPC. Now we should have the endpoint where we can query objects, and those objects will be returned to the frontend, so we can basically start working on the Subspace JS. Then there were some fixes related to node restarts. I found while testing that there were actually some problems when node restarts. It wasn't able to continue from certain point. So those were fixed. There are two reasons for that. And then again for Subspace JS, I've created a merged simple palette called Object Store that basically has a very dumb puts of some binary data. And then as usual, you can query that back from that new RPC endpoint. So basically, those are two components required for Subspace JS to be usable. Puts are free. So if you don't have any coins on the account, it should still be working for now on the testnet, which I think will be convenient. On the relayer side, there were some fixes again after testing. And then there were some, we removed the workaround that made all of the different chains sequential in how they submit batches of transactions. It's no longer necessary with latest fixes on the node side. There were some fixes to the Docker files. There was a fix for read-only support, so we can actually mount the same archive potentially into multiple places and use concurrently. It doesn't try to modify anything. Then there were some issues around retries. Actually, our retries, they were causing this computer science problem, which is called thundering herd, where everything retries at the same time. It basically makes things worse, and only one thing can actually go through. So I've added parameter that enables randomization of this time. So different things should retry at different times and not cause this problem. Yeah, also added some more retries in one more place that we didn't have before. And I was like a third line of effort. I was working on documentation. I've changed the documentation in the Terraform repository how to deploy the testnet. So now it should be deployed with the Docker Compose setup. It's rather simple. It's much easier to set up, much easier to restart. And we have Leo created the testnet B VM, and that's how that VM is configured. And I also added documentation how we can do about the same thing with Relayer, with that read-only thing and everything. And that's also how on testnet B Relayer runs. And the farmer plot is about 50 gigabytes right now on that machine. So we have about 25 gigabytes of data plotted, like useful data. And I'm monitoring if there are any issues, and I'm trying to fix them as they come up. So that works relatively well. I think that's all.
What were the issues with the node restarts?
There were some incorrect handling of the archiver. So in one case, it was trying to continue as if there were some blocks produced on the network, even though it was just Genesis. So if it was like too early for any blocks to be archived, there are just pre-Genesis objects. This probably will go away when we don't have pre-Genesis objects anymore. And the second problem was related to the fact that when it was going through blocks in the history, it was creating mapping for those objects with an empty list of root blocks. And the other piece of code was expecting the list of root blocks to be present even if it's empty, which wasn't actually the case. So there were like two problems, minor problems, but they were causing not being able to restart.
Okay, and what can you just specify what you mean by restart? Like reboot the testnet, or like restart a node?
Oh, just
like
restart.
respoon?
You have a container, it's running. You just call docker restart on that container. It
Okay.
shuts down, starts up again, but it cannot really work after that.
Like
So
from a new, like a hard reboot of from Genesis?
No, just restart. I'm not saying reset. Just restart.
Under a single node or multiple
Doesn't
nodes?
matter. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Like any
So
of them, if you restart, it just dies.
How long can it go between restarts?
Forever until you need to restart it. Or
It doesn't
redeploy it.
affect the clock for the epochs? There's not some timeout limit for that? Okay, we'll take this offline. Never mind.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Any questions for Nazar? Okay. Ozgun, you're up next.
Okay, I've been working on integration tests. All the structure and code is actually completed. I'm just trying to figure out the hard-coded values for initialization of the dummy values. Close to half of them are finished. For the rest of them, I was trying to understand where are they used and what should be the initial values for them. And I have a long list of questions to ask, and we have arrived to this meeting with Nazar 5 minutes earlier. I asked him, we will arrange some time today or tomorrow for talking about these questions. Yeah, that's all. I've been working hard on understanding the library.
Okay. Don't put too much thought into the initial values, Ozgun. It's better just to make your best guess and put something down than having the perfect answer here. And also, if you've got questions, don't hesitate to reach out immediately just over Discord with the
Exactly.
questions as well.
Like my questions were evolving and changing the more I look at the library, and it just finalized 10 minutes before the meeting. That's why I was not waiting on anything or else.
Okay. All right. So what's the expectation right now on getting that closed out?
I think tomorrow or at worst case Friday would be the end of the transition for the library. Then for the next week, I will be ready for a new task.
Okay. And that's going to be batch plotting.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Any questions for Ozgun? All right. Serge, you're up next.
Yeah, so mostly I've been busy with Aries dev environment. I pulled the latest node images earlier today, and yeah, I was updating and restarting environment when needed. Mostly also monitoring, investigating issues, following along and approving PRs by Nazar, and reading Docker docs because I feel I have some gaps to fill. And yeah, if I have free time, I was working on Relayer backend tests.
Okay.
That's all.
What's the status right now on the DevNet, on the upload progress?
Currently, no issues. There was a problem with SHDN network, and I restarted without it because API failed to return the chain name. But yeah, Nazar submitted a PR. I think it's already merged, so maybe we can. I will restart it, and let's see if it helps.
What's the progress in terms of like percentage complete, like 20 gigabytes, 50 gigabytes?
I don't know. Let me check. Should be on Relayer UI, right? Because I'm not really following there. I'm just checking if there are any issues in the logs.
How long has it been running?
Gigabytes.
Sorry?
Says 2.7 gigabytes.
Okay,
Just
so we're
over
about 5% done. How long has it been running for continuously?
I think around 5 hours.
Okay. And this is with the upgraded instance? No? Okay. Leo didn't upgrade the instances last night?
He just messaged me like an hour ago. He is about to.
Okay.
So he will restart everything because he has to, yeah, he has to do complete restart.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Serge? All right. Liu-Cheng, you're up next.
Okay. So I have been busy with the decoupled execution and working on the cumulus fork, and I have managed to make the embedded some subspace node and sync the subspace network. Okay, yeah, this is my update.
Cool. And have you made any progress on the research since we talked last night?
So basically, I think yeah, we can reuse the overseer as a line. Like I'll learn more about this part. Yeah.
Okay. And how many days do you think it'll take you before you can have proof of concept of the overseer communicating with the embedded node communicating with the collator?
Okay, I think we can like have a discuss about Friday. Yeah, and that is 2 more days. 1 more day.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll set up a meeting with the three of us to go through that again.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions for Liu-Cheng? All right. Thanks, Liu-Cheng. Okay. On my side, I have been working with Liu-Cheng and Nazar on the architecture for the decoupled execution, doing a lot of coordinating with Nazar around the RPC for and the design for the retrievability, so that we can get a basic version of Subspace JS working, which is going to be one of Leo's next big initiatives once we get the infrastructure set. And mainly been working more on the business side around the business development for the announcement regarding the relayer, which we're going to be doing soon, and talking with a lot of different people in the ecosystem about the relayer and kind of what we're doing with Subspace in general, with retrievability, with other parachain partners. I did have a chance to talk with Joe Petrowski yesterday and got some interesting feedback from him, which kind of echoes what we've heard from some other people, some other founders at some of the parachains. And one of that was that the storage of the POV blocks sounds very interesting. Instead of not just the blocks, but the full POV blocks, because they have a data availability problem there, that after 24 hours, those blocks disappear. The other one is a common retrievability API for all the parachains, so you don't have to have a different, connection API, whatever, to each different parachain. You can just have one that allows you to sync with Subspace. And also, there's an interesting problem with the XCMP protocol. The current way that it works, the messages that get passed up to the relay chain and then passed back down to some other chain, there's not really a great way that that data is indexed or archived right now. It's not being done by any of the block explorers or any of the like on finality services, anything like that. And there's actually people have been having problems of like losing these cross-chain messages because they seem to sort of just disappear from the network. So that seems like that also, and this was unsolicited. This was just suggestions that he had. So seems to be a lot of these little problems within Polkadot or within sort of Kusama relay chain framework that we can kind of help resolve here. They're interested in that. Any questions for me?
Did they clarify if there is an API to query those POV blocks from the outside?
We did not talk about that, actually. But I did ask Robert about that separately. And I do not believe there is. I think he said you would have to run a parachain node or a collator. Yeah, you'd have to run a collator node like with Cumulus, I think, in order to be able to generate those blocks. So we'd have to really run our own. Unless we had a public RPC. Yeah, actually, no, it's not exposed over the RPC. So yeah, there's really no way to get that.
Later or just a full node?
Sorry?
Should it be collator or just a full node is enough?
I don't know, but I suspect you need a collator to do it. Okay. That should go hand in hand with kind of the research you're doing, Liu-Cheng, right? Of where you actually generate these POV blocks. I think you need a collator to do it, though.
Yeah.
I think it might be useful to maybe open a discussion and talk about exposing such API. That would help us to get access to those.
Yeah, I think that chat we have with Robert would be a great place to do that, because he would be one of the key decision makers on something like that. Actually, I'd already discussed it with him separately, but it's better now that you're in the group. I'll add you to that as well, Liu-Cheng, so you can see we're having discussions with Robert Habermeyer about different aspects of Babe and Polkadot. Okay, anything else? All right, well, thanks everybody for watching. We will see you guys again next week.